Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is
Good
Olusegun Yano,
afternoon.
and I am trained to be your UIX trainer for today. It's an online training, and it's going to last for like I think 30 minutes on Figma Component. And with my years of experience in design and development, I really can't wait to just share the knowledge and insights with you guys on Figma Component. Um, okay, so without further ado, let's dive in and make the most of these sessions together. Um, while we also wait for other sessions like this in acquire skill. So, like it said, let me share my screen. Uh, okay, so Fadikemi, can you confirm if you can see my screen?
Yes, I can. I can. Please go ahead.
All right, thank you. So, today we'll be checking a few things, creating one or more components. We'll be checking the differences between main component and instances. We'll be checking changes that you can make to components and instances, and then what instance swapping and swapping of component instances mean. Uh, for the naming and organizing of components, I hope we'll be able to take that. And then we'll be checking using component variants, how to make use of variants. Uh, we'll be working with component properties, how to work with it, and how to make use of those properties. And then lastly is prototyping with interactive components. So it's a long journey and our time is fast spent. So um, let's begin. So lesson one, creating one or more components. So let's say you have something like this. As I don't know, but I think this training is actually for people that are a bit used to Figma, not like newbie who can't create a button. But for those who can create a button, it's as simple as creating something like this. Open transaction, sorry, transactions, and then you can shift A on it and add a stroke line, something like this. Yeah. So this is just how to create a button, something like this. So, uh, but before we dive in, the reason why we are looking into components today is because uh, one thing I've realized about components is it makes the work easier. You gain speed and then you gain efficiency in your work. It's you don't really have to be doing one single thing over and over. You can just by creating one single component, you can achieve a whole lot of results. So, uh, all right. So creating one component. Let's start with at least let's create one component first. So this is a button, and when you want to create component, the only thing you have to do is ensure you are clicking or ensure you are selecting what you want to make a component. So after selecting this, to the top bar here, you would see create component. So let's create this component. And one thing you will notice is the color around it changes to purple. And at the same time, if you come to this side of the screen, that is the left hand side, the icon here comes out, which actually signifies a component. And then the text also changes to purple. So this to tell you that you've successfully made this a component. All right. Well, in a situation where you want to make multiple components, so we've successfully made a component, but in a situation we want to make multiple components, we can copy this. Let's say, okay, so let's add it here. I mean, okay, so let's paste it here. Now, one thing you would realize is after pasting, there is an icon that changes to this place. It's a bit different from the one we're using initially, which is this. So if you check, the icon here is different from the icon here. This one is like a filled diamond and this one is like an empty diamond. So when you copy and paste an initial made component, a component that you made from scratch, which is the parent component, when you copy and paste it, what you get is an instance of that component, which is this one. This empty diamond. So we have this. Don't worry, we'll still talk about differences between the main component and the instances, but let's just follow our um, guideline. So if you want to create multiple components now, uh, so let's delete this. So we have this, and this, don't forget, like I said, this is a variant of this. So already this is a component, but because we want to create multiple components, let's just detach this. Okay, so this is a standalone component on its own. So a double clicking, not double clicking, ensure you click this one, and then ensure you click on this text. Sorry, the frame. For me. Okay. Okay, so and then the button. Now when you click on this um element, and then when you click on this button together, if you come to this top part, if you notice, the first time we came to this place, the only thing that was there was just create component. But because you are selecting two or more elements together now, other features of component comes out, which is create multiple components and create component set. So we'll be explaining only create multiple component now, and then over time we'll get to creating component set. So when you click on create multiple components, what happens is that Figma makes this a component on its own, and then make this button a component on its own separately. So if you come to this part, you will notice that it's not like Figma is not fixing them together. So this is a component on its own, and then this becomes a component on its own. But what you just finish achieving is that you just finish making multiple components just at once. Okay, so that's about creating one or more components, starting from the basics, like basic of creating component. Don't forget, if you want to create component, ensure you are selecting the item that you want to make a component, and also uh, by selecting two or more items, you can what make the two items a component separately just by clicking on create multiple components. Okay, so that's about that, and to our lesson 2, uh, which is component and instances. So main component and instances, and from there we'll be explaining so instances. So let's make this button a component. Okay, and then copy and duplicate, or copy and paste, bring it here and delete this. So now we have this. Like I said the other time, if you click on this now, you would realize that oh sorry, I actually copied the main component. Okay, so this is the instances. Okay, so we can drop it here. All right, so if you click on this, you would notice that this is the instance button of this main component. All right, so what's the difference between this instance and this component is, uh for example, you can't you can't add an icon. I'm trying to look for an icon. Okay, so let me pick this. Okay, duplicate. So you can't bring an icon and add it to this instance. It's not going to enter into it. Can you notice that? So it's not going to stay. Even when you are dragging and holding on control, it's not going to enter it because it's just an instance. However, if you bring this same component or this same icon into this place, it's going to enter into it. So that's the difference between the main component and the instance. The main component allows you to add things into it, but for the instance, you can't add any component, any external item into the main component, however into the instance. However, for instances, there are a few things that you can change about it. Okay, so uh the changes you made in instance doesn't affect the main component. For example, if I click on this and I change it to making component, So you will notice it's not affecting, it's not changing the text inside this place. But if I delete this, come in, if I delete this, it's going to affect the instance. So that is about the changes you can make in instances and in components. Also, when it comes to instances, you can what's the word now? if you click on this icon, let's say this, and then you click on delete, is not going to delete. So you can't actually delete items from instances. What you can do is hide those items. In the recent, you won't see it here, but if you come to this side, you will see that what Figma did was just to close the icon here to hide this. So even after clicking on delete, I mean the delete on your keyboard, even if you like click shift delete, it's still not going to delete. That's because it's an instance. But if you come to this place, which is the main component, and click on this icon and delete it, Figma removes it entirely, and at the same time it's going to affect the instance. So let's undo, and then let's come to this place and open the icon back. Okay, good. So we have this. And lastly, or is it lastly now, if you come to the main component here, you can change the location of this icon. For example, if I press this forward or front, is going to the front, and if I click back, it's going to go to the back. I can change the location. I can even drag and change the location, you get. But I can't change the location inside an instance. So for example, it's not going to allow me drag this, do you get? So are we still together? Fadika, can you confirm if we are still together, and hope I'm not too fast?
Yes, yes, we are still together. Please go
Okay,
ahead.
and hope I'm not too fast. Please, if I'm too fast, you guys can talk and let me know. So you can't drag this, you can't change the location, even if you are pressing forward or backward, it's not going to change. Okay, so that would be about differences between instances and components. So but then beyond that, what are the changes that you can make in component that you can't make in an instance, will be the question, apart from all these that I have showed also. um let's check that in the lesson 3, and we explain. Should I use this to explain, or let me explain using this first? So we'll use the lesson 3 to explain, but let me explain using this so that we won't get confused. So for example, you can come to this place, you can increase the font size, you can change the font style from regular to light. It's not going to be affecting this. So you can change the font style, you can increase the font size, you can um, change the fill from purple to black, you can add stroke if you want to. So all those things you can do them in an instance. And at the same time, if there is a coming if you want to export this instance, okay, so that was what I'm trying to look for. So this grid, you can, assuming there's a grid style, you can add a grid style to this. If you notice, there's a grid style but it's not showing inside the parent component, so you can do that. You can export this. Now if you want to export, you can export this as 1x. If you like, you can change it to JPEG or SVG. But the way you've set this to all these settings, you can do the parent components separately. Okay, so if you want to edit anything in this, you are free to edit it as far as is an instance. But at the same time, you can click on this instance. Probably you see that you've overdo, so you can click on it and Should I explain this now? Okay, so if you notice, oh, probably I love the size of this button. I love the way it is now. I love the way the text is big. You can now push. There is this feature in Figma, or you can push what you've edited in the instance. You can push it into the parent component. So if you come to this place and you right click, go to main component, you can click on push changes to main component. Uh, um, okay, so we just finished pushing and all of a sudden this would change. So the reason why I'm showing us that is, for example, probably maybe you made a component and you created an instance, and while working on the instance, you kind of love the way the instance is looking like even much more than the original component. So instead of just going to the original component to go and work on the original component to look like the instance, you can simply just push the property of the instance into the parent component. Okay, so let's just go to lesson 3 and then we'll explain what I just finished explaining. We'll explain it much more better. Are we still following? Uh, Please, if you have any question, just save it or write it somewhere till we get to the end of the class. Okay, so lesson 3, making changes to component and instances. Okay, so let's start with this. Like I said, I believe everybody knows how to create button. So let's start with this and let's make this a component. Let's make this a component and duplicate it. So don't forget, what we want to explain are the changes that you can make to an instance and the changes you can make to a component. Okay, it's the same thing I explained previously. I just want to show us much more better using other things. Uh, so let's make this instance look exactly like this. So this will be our reference, and then we'll change the entire stuff in this place to look like this button. So the first thing is the color, right? So we can come to this place and change the fill color to this. Okay, so you can change when it comes to instance. You can always change what the fill property. You can change the color, and also the text. It's currently in white. We can change it to black. Let's say this black. Okay, so one other thing is, okay, so this is just font, and then is bold is 21. So you can edit all that, just bold 21. Okay, okay, so and then the text here is what so you can change the text to have this. So now this is looking exactly just like this, and it has not affected the parent component at all. So that's about that. And okay, so I think something is okay. So let's just go deeper into changes that you can make into component and instances. So let's say we have something like this, and then you added a text style, or let's say let's add a text style first. So let's say this is, what should they call this? So let's call this active. Okay, so let's call this active, active, active. Okay, and then create style. So, and let's call this inactive. Okay, or should we use that? I'm coming. I'm looking for a better way to explain to us so that I won't get confused. This is 13. and this is, let me detach. Okay, this is semi bold and this is what, medium. Okay, so let's use that to create the text style. So this is let's change it from active, let's change it to semi bold, and semi bold. Okay, so sorry, semi bold. So we have this text style, okay, semi bold, and then we have this text style which is medium. So let's call this one medium. Medium, sorry, medium, medium. So let's create this text style. At the same time, this color looks different from this, so let's create a color style for that, and then that will be, sorry, uh let's make this color style active. Okay, so for active state, and then create. So at the same time, let's make a text style out of this and call this inactive state. So inactive state, so create. So uh so what we want to explain are these changes that you can, don't forget the changes that you can make to components, changes that you can make to instances. So let me duplicate this and just bring it outside here. Okay, fine. Okay, so let's make these a component. Should I do that? Just to explain this. Okay, yeah. So let's make this a component. Sorry, this. Let's make this a component, and okay. So and then copy and duplicate this. So let's drag this into this. Okay, so we have this state, and then let's duplicate to have this also. So we have two instances of this one component, but we have different styles already. So if I click on this, I can, let's just forget about this icon first, but we are working on the text now. So if I click on this, I can choose this text style to be coming to be semi bold. Okay, no, let's choose it to be medium, so it's actually different from this one is semi bold, but this one is medium. So at the same time, we can change the color style from active detach to inactive state. Now we have something like this already, but all I just finished creating is just a single. Okay, so let me just drag this out, sorry. So all I just finished creating is just a single component, but from this single component, my work have been made easier just by me adding styles. So instead of creating all these one by one, all I have to do is just create one single style like this, and then duplicate it, make an instances of it. Sorry, I just clicked on the wrong frame. Make an instances of it and start working on those instances using the styles that I've created initially, which is the text style, uh, the text style, yeah, the text style and the color style. So without affecting the original parent component. So I can always use this original parent component and bring it into this main component. So that's like another changes that you can make to instances and components. And okay, so let's say we have something like this, and I think I've explained this, but let me use this to explain so that you are going to understand it better. So let me say I make a component out of this. This is just a circle and a text. So I make a component out of this, I duplicate this to have this, and then let's say I add this color style. So let's add this color style. This will be what, green. This will be green, create style, and then this will be, which kind of color is this? The ladies in the house. What's the name of this color? I think let's call it brownish orange. Don't laugh. So I don't know. Let's just call it orange. Orange. Okay, so to have this. Okay, so I can delete this. No, let's change the text first to expenses. So at the same, currently everything is still the same size, so I can delete this. And since this is an instance of this, so let me say I'm working on this and I increase this style to 24. 24 is too much, so let's make it 16. Okay, so and I increase it to 16. Like I said, if you like this size, all you have to do, you don't have to be going through this stress of changing this to be expecting it to affect all the instances. You can easily just click on this and then do what? Uh, Push that to the change so it reflect on this. So and at the same time you can click on this and then go to your style, detach, and click on the orange color. So it's going to affect the two, but I can detach this again and make it green color. So that's just how to use instances and components. So however, before I go further, there is something I actually wanted to explain. Okay, so for shortcuts and ways of doing things faster, just say button shift, no, shift A. Okay, so if you come to this place, you would see the shortcut is Control Alt K. So start learning how to make use of shortcuts. So for example, if I click on Control Alt K, it makes this button a component already. And at the same time, if you come to this place, the shortcut for instance variant, well, I don't know, but we'll get to variant later. So also, if you want to, there are ways of getting an instances of this. It's not compulsory that you copy every time and paste like this. So there are ways to get instances, but quick one, don't use this to create instances. We'll get to this place, but this is not instances. Okay, so let's undo. Other ways to get instances could be coming. Other ways to get instances could be coming to asset and then opening this page, buttons. So when you drag and drop this is an instance of this. So let me show us. Button, can you see this icon is still like an empty diamond? So this is an instance. At the same time, if you copy Ctrl C and Ctrl V, you will still have this. It's still the same thing. There's no difference between them. Okay, so in case your teammate loves to go to asset and go and drag and drop, don't think the person is doing something wrong. Or in case your teammate just like copying and pasting, it's not so wrong. And lastly, you can also come to this resource center. I know most of us, the reason why we come to resource center is because we want to go and steal plugin or borrow plugin. So you can come to resource center. If your work is well organized and well arranged, you can open up those parts and then drag and drop the button. This is also an instance of this. So like we can see, it's still an empty diamond. So those are just ways of creating instances, and anyone that best makes your work faster, please stick to that. All right, so is there anything I need to use and explain something to us? Okay, so let's go back to swapping. So next lesson is actually swapping component instances. So this actually work best when you have icons, images, what else? Uh, no, let's just stick to that. Icons and images. I think those are the main times I've actually, or uh, the element I've actually used swapping for most times. So, however, if I don't know if that is all you can use swapping for. So, if there are other aspects where you can use swapping for, Fine. You see the same process for everything. So let's say, should I delete this? Okay, so let's delete this. Uh, this would have actually affected this. No, okay, I think I have this original component. Okay, I have it here. All right. So swapping component instances. So let's say we have, which one should I start with? Okay, let's say we have something like this, and we make a component out of this. Control Alt K, and uh, coming. I think I just click on the wrong. Um, okay, okay, okay. So this is the correct one. So let's say I make a component out of this, and then I brought out the variant. So this is the variant. This is the original component. Let me drag this out, and then let's say I make a component out of this. Control Alt. I'm clicking on the correct one, sha. Okay. Control Alt K. Okay. So, and then I Control C, Control V. So this is the original. So let me bring this one out here too. And then let's call this one logout. And then let's call this one main. So let's say you have something like this, and you, let's say you are still a newbie, you've not started using uh, variant, because you can actually use variants to achieve something like this. But let's say you're just starting and you have this component separately from this component, and while working you feel like, okay, I don't need this logout button here, I need it to be at the top here, or I need this main account to be below here. So all you have to do is click on this. You don't have to do something like this, drag and sorry, drag and then bring down. Though this achieved the result, it's not bad. But what component does for you, it's actually make the work easy and faster. So this is clicked already. You can actually come to this place, this swap instance. So this is actually place to swap instance. Don't forget, the lesson we are currently treating is swapping component instances. So when you come to this place under a well arranged uh, stuff, when you open lesson 4, you would see main component, and when you click on this, it automatically changes to main component without dragging up and down. So at the same time, if you click on this, you can come to this place and click on logout. Boom. So I've achieved the same result of what I just finished using clicking and dragging, clicking and dragging to do. Okay, so that's about swapping instances or swapping component instances. So don't forget, the thing you need to do first is you create the component, and then create the other component that you want to swap this with. So if I want to swap this with this, I need to make this also a component. And if I want to swap this with this, I need to make this one also a component. So, but in a situation whereby this component, this button here is a component on its own, and what you want to swap is maybe this icon, you want to swap it to this icon without changing this logout or the color entirely. The only thing you want to change is just this icon. If you come to this place, you will see swap instance. Like this is logout now. If you come to this place, the way we saw swap instance the other time, you won't see swap instance here. And that was because this button or this icon itself is not a component. What makes it turn purple is because the entire button here has made a component, but this icon itself is not currently a component. So what you would do is, let's make use of this to explain that. Let's say we have something like this. Let me ungroup them and further ungroup them. Okay. No, I have not to do that. Let's do it this way. Let me duplicate this. Nope. Duplicate. Okay, I need to buy this side. Screen. Okay, so we have this. So let me ungroup this so that I won't tamper with the work. Let me ungroup and then further ungroup so that I would have the icons on their own. So if I don't forget, from the very beginning of this lesson, I already taught us how to make multiple components. So I know what most of us would have done initially would have been you click on this icon and then you make this one a component, you click on this one, you make this one a component, you click on this one, you make this one a component. That's stressful. So you can easily just highlight all these icons, and if there are images too, you can highlight everything. Okay, and okay, I think the next lesson is naming. So I felt like naming this first, but let's not name it first. Let's just make it component first. So if I click on this and click on create multiple components, all of these individually becomes a component. So now if I make use of this component, copy and paste inside this overview, and then I delete this. Now this button itself is currently a component without this entire frame being a component. So if I make this frame now, this 22, which is overview, if I now make it a component, Control K, what I just finished doing is called nesting a component inside a component. Nesting a component inside a component. So this is when you can now click on this component and come to this place, and you would see swap instances. So you would see the remaining icons here that you can swap this with. Okay, so for example, if I had made something like this initially with this, so I didn't like this color, sorry, this is an instance, so let's detach this. Okay, let's drag out this, and then let's bring in the, what's it called, the icon. Okay, so let's bring it here, drop. Okay, so let's say I have something like this. Initially I can't be changing this icon, and that was why none of them is changed. But because I already made this an icon, a component, interestingly enough, I can now change it to anything that I want. So let's say we want to change it to this budget code. We could have changed this to budget, come to this place and then change this to budget. So without me looking to this place again and dragging and dropping. So if you drag and drop, it's not wrong too, as far as you've made that component a component. But you can also use what we call the swap instance feature of Figma. So you can swap this with anything. But notice under the same icon by this side, at the moment, even logout button is under the things that you can swap this icon with. So for example, if I click on this, can you see it just finished swapping an icon to a logout button? And the reason for that is because our work is not at the moment well organized. So it's not like we have inside a folder that icons are the only one there, and then inside a folder buttons are the only one there. So I know I've seen guys that use frame in achieving that, like this normal frame. They use it in achieving organization just because they made a frame around this. Figma automatically arranged this for them inside this place. Lesson 4. Is that lesson 4 or lesson 3? Lesson 3, sorry. Lesson 3. Okay, start button. It didn't even interesting. Figma did not do that too. But I know I've seen guys using frame, like they use frame in organizing these things. Probably because, yeah, I know. Should I have made it a component first? Coming. Lesson 3. Aha, so frame just finished organizing it. It's just going to add it here and then under frame. Now if I add any other thing inside this place, let's say this icon, a drag and drop inside this frame. Okay, so if I go to this same asset and I go to lesson 3, it's organizing the two and it's going to bring it together. You can now bring out anyone that you need there. uh you can detach and bring out anyone that you need there at the same time. But I've seen guys use frame effectively, but I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to use the frame effectively, and that's because to me I feel like it's a very long process. So one way to achieve organization, I think the first time I met Albert, we were to work on a project that I think that was the uh I think SM Miller project also. I think the SM Miller project. Can't remember, or the MCL project. And in this part of our screen, Albert was scrolling and then he was just seeing frame one, frame one, frame, frame. Everything was frame, 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 frame. And none of them were having the right name. Just the way we are seeing it now, that this one is a frame, this one is a frame. Everything is just frame 34. And I think he was trying to look for something and he searched and he couldn't find it. So I think that he yabbed all of us with the UI UX designer, and then he said, one thing the programmers do is they name their work properly. So I think that's one culture that I feel like we the UI UX designer needs to uh, add to our work, because we just click on this stuff and then the rectangle creates. All we want is we shall want to design this rectangle to look good. So we are always focusing on this part of the screen. So yeah, my red has turned red. However, in this place, the stuff is just still rectangle. So if I create another rectangle now, and this, if you check, the name is still rectangle. Like, it's still rectangle, but you can actually differentiate the two just by giving them the proper name. You can call this one red rectangle, and call this one ash rectangle. So that makes your work easy for people to find if they are looking for something on your screen. So that is what we're going to do next, and we're going to organize this component to make our work easier. Sorry, Fadikemi, how many minutes do I have left, please? Uh, time is fast spent.
Yeah, no, we have approximately 10, 15, 20 minutes left. Just three options, yeah.
Okay, so let me go. Let me go with the list of the option. So, like I said, naming and organizing components. Now, the reason why I said the reason why you need to name your components is for organization's sake. It makes your work easy to locate. And I know for some of us that we have imported someone's, no, not import now. We've imported a website into Figma before using import HTML. By the time you come to this side, you just be seeing that those tools are long and well organized, that you have to drag this part to see some of those namings, and that is how our work ought to be. So that is what we want to do. And so let's say we have something like this. Let me duplicate this and drag this out. Okay, so, and ungroup them, but ungroup them. So if I click, oh, just ungroup the nonsense. Okay, so further ungroup. So if I click on this icon, for me to organize this icon properly without having any issue, like, sorry, okay, so without having any issue locating them, is to give them the proper naming. So I think one way to name, I don't know, if you come to this place, is rename still here. So rename is not here again. So if you come to this place and you right click, okay, you would see rename. So this is how to rename components. Don't just give components anyhow name. I think the last time we were working on a project, what's it called, WC project. Even after creating the, no, it's not WC, acquire skill project. Even after creating component for people, like to make their work easy, some still can't locate that component, and that's because we didn't organize the work in a folder for them to locate easily. So assuming in a folder there is a picture separately, in a folder there is a logo separately, in a folder there is an icon separately, people will be able to find what they are finding easily. However, there is a search bar to make use of, but that is if only you know the name that was used to create the icon. So this is naming. And so how do you name? Interestingly enough, so let's say these are icons. You can call these icons. Permit me, I'm still, when it comes to this learning, naming thing, all of us are learning. Okay, so let's call this icon. To name, you add the slash. What the slash does is, inside Figma file, it creates a folder and call the folder icon. So inside that folder is going to create another file, and then it will call the file whatsoever name you give it to it. So let's say icon's current name is going to bring out this dollar and sign. Now, if you click on rename, if you come to this part, you will notice Figma had renamed everything from icons, from settings, to all of them to icons, 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 icons. And then if you now make them a component, boom. Oh God, I just made a mistake. Undo. So if you make all of them multiple components, if you come to this part and you open up the lesson 5, you would see icon folder. Now, the work is getting more organized. Inside icon folder, you will not see buttons. The only thing you're going to see there is these icons. Okay, so that makes your work organized. And at the same time, if you come to this, my dad, sorry, if you come to this place and where is it? Okay, these are components. Let me create an instance of this briefly. Click bro, please click bro. Oh, still an icon. Okay, so let's create on this and make an instance of this. Okay, duplicate, and then let's come to this place. Now if you click on this place, you will see that before, what we have is a button was in between all of these guys, but now because we just finished organizing our work, the button is no longer there. The only thing we have here is just icons, and you can swap it with anything. Okay, so that's about naming. And you can go further to, when it comes to naming, you can really make your work easy. So for example, I think in the WC project, with the components team, we're actually trying to decide whether we would use outline icons or field icons. So let's imagine that we want to work on a project, and this is 32 px icon and this is 16 px icon, and we don't want to mix the two up. Or let's say this is field and this is outline. So if you click on this, all of them, you can rename it. Open up the folder. Now if you check their names are just like this: calendar, all of them. So you can copy all of them, right click on it, click on rename, and then call it. Now don't forget, there is, all of them are grouped inside a single folder. It's not going to drag. The folder, sorry, the frame name is Monochrome Icons. So already inside your mind, because there is a frame created, and that was what I was trying to say, that some people knows how to use frame better. So inside of your mind, you already know that there is a monochrome icon folder. So the next thing will be 32, which is the size of this icon, slash outline, 32 slash outline, slash what now, slash current name. Okay, so let's rename them. So what you're going to have is 32 outline, and then the name. So if you come to this place and you open up lesson 5, you would see, oh, I've not added it to a component. Okay, so I'm meant to add them to component, multiple components. So if I come to this place and I go to lesson 5, I would see monochrome icons. So because of that frame, Figma used the frame to create a folder for us. As you can see, this is a folder icon. And then when you open this, you would see 32. So that is to tell you that all the icons you'll be seeing inside this 32 folder are outline icons, and all of them are like this. So however, I think in the naming I still made a mistake, but the outline ought not to be there, because currently all of these are outline icons. So you can choose to rename these. I think the way to return it back, and let's remember, uh, the way to when you want to return something back to its original, I think it will be 32 slash outline, okay, slash uh rename. So so that's what you're going to do. Already they have their original name. So uh, if you click on this, you can now rename them better to 32 slash current name, right? Current name. Good. To have this. Okay, and now that is if they are not colored, but at the same time, if this one are colored, so let's say we name this uncolored. No. Okay, that's for color, and it's monochrome. So let's say we want to work on this, and then we open up this, click on all these, click on all these, and then we rename, and then we call it 32 slash current name rename. Now if you come to this place, no, let's make it a component first. Now if you come to this place, you would see lesson 5, you would see icons, color icons, monochrome icons. Okay, so if you click on color icons, you will see 32. If you click on 32, you will see this. So beautiful. Let's just use this as 16. So if I click on this and I copy all these, rename them, rename to 16 slash current name, rename, make multiple components, and I come to this place, click on lesson 5, open up color icons. I will see 16 icons and 32 icons. So if I open up 60 icons, I will see these icons. So if I drag and drop this, currently it will be 16 height. And if I go back and open up this and drag this, it will be 32 icons. So I just finished separating the icons uh, based on their size and their color. So, but if I just want to pack all this inside an icon set, just like we did initially, all I have to do is come in. Okay, so let's copy this, duplicate, and drag and drop into this to have this. So now all of them are inside just icon set. The names are going to change. So that means if I want to name this, I would let's just do it one by one. I would name this as 32, sorry, rename 32 slash, now that is an outline slash 32 slash current name rename. So we have something like this. That means if I come to this place and I open up lesson 5, the only thing I will be seeing here will be icons. So I don't know if it's okay, these icons, and then I will be seeing outlines, and then I will see 32. So and then I will see 32, and then I would have this. Okay, so that's about naming, and I think our time is fast spent, but there is something I need to explain before we leave, which is component variant. So this is component variant, which is one thing I've realized that people mixed up with instance. So for example, if I click on this and I make this a component and I duplicate this and I click on the original component, drag it out. Okay, now if I want to make a variant of this, not an instance of this. This is the instance. Don't forget there are changes that you can make to this that you can't make to this. There are changes that when you make to the main component, it automatically affects this. But when it comes to variant, it's totally different. So to create variant, let's say we want to create that button to look like this as a variant and also to look like this as a variant. So if I come to this place, I would click on this, which is also add variant, and then we what's the word? We would come to this place, and what's the width? The width is currently 400, and then the text style. Let me just copy the text, copy, and then we'll bring it here. We'll paste. That is big, and the width is what? 400. 400. 400. Oh, I hope I clicked on the correct stuff, Sha. Oh, sorry, 441. 441. 441. Okay, so now you can have this. You can always adjust this. Now you have this. But interestingly enough, this doesn't have icon. So that means you can delete this icon. Don't forget, in variant, you can't delete. I'm sorry, in instance, you can't delete. But in variance, you can delete this. So to have this. Now, this is a variant of this. Okay, we already made an instance of this. So let's just make use of this. Now, if you come to this place, you would see default. Now, if you click on this variant 2, when you click on this variant 2, it changes that button to this variant. Okay. At the same time, you can add the third variant, which is this large let's do it button. So that would be, you click on this, don't click on this and click duplicate. Okay, click on this and you would see second variant, which is this icon. You click on it, then you make another variant of the first one, or you click on this and then you add variant. Okay, so those are the two ways to do that. And let's see the property of this. This is a stroke. So a stroke property, copy property, and then paste property. Let's paste property. Okay, so we have that, and then the width is what? The width is 708. So we can change this to 708 to have that. Expand this to have that, and then okay, so we have this. Let's do, I also have copied the property. It's fine. Paste this. So we have that, and then the icon, which is this icon, drag and drop for me. I think there should be another icon there, so we can delete this. All right, so we already have two variants of this. Don't forget, these ones are not instance. This is an instance here. As you can see, the changes I'm making to this, they are not affecting this. So if after creating those variants, I can at the same time come to this place and click on, oh, just made a mistake, and click on variant 3. Don't forget, like I said, always name your work very well. So this could have been, a naming could have been button, property will be button, okay, and then the default state will be with icon. Okay, so this one will be what? Button without icon. Okay, and then the third one will be button without fill. anyone you want to call it, or field sorry, outline plus plus icon, anyone you like. So that means when you come to this place, when you click on this variant, when you come to this, you will see outline plus icon, without icon, with icon. So if you click on with icon, it changes to this. If you click on without icon, it changes to this. And if you click on outline icon, it changes to this. All right, so I think this is where we'll stop. If you want to get more lesson on this, Stay Media Internship is actively recruiting interns. So we'll get to talk more about components. We'll talk about how to work with all these components, and like I said, how to create component prototype, where you can prototype this to move from button, and when you overlap on the button it changes to this, and when you press the button it changes to this, or the same time when you click on this it changes to this, and then when you click on this changes to this. Okay, so um when you join the internship, we get to talk more and more on this, or something like when you click on this part, this black stuff slide to this end, and then when you click on this end, the black stuff slide back. So those are prototyping part of components. I hope we learn one thing or the other.